So today we have Dustin Rivers, the representative from the Verney Conference Management Team. We're lucky to have you on board during the year and now. So maybe you could speak a little bit about how you got involved with the Canadian Science Policy Conference, what excited you about taking on this initiative, and maybe a little bit about your experience.
Well, basically we responded to a request for proposal, of which we didn't win. And at some point in time we received a phone call saying that they'd like to have us come back in. And so we did. It's an interesting organization. I'm always interested in conferences that identify a need for a community that isn't happening. And the evolution, the quick evolution, the speedy evolution that has happened is, I think, what makes the Canadian Science Policy Centre very unique in that regard. The evolution is really astounding. It takes 10 years for major organizations to get that type of establishment, and basically through persistence and a lot of passion, I think that's now happened. And the biggest concern, I think, moving forward is not letting it, understanding that it's beyond a grassroots organization now. There's expectations that need to be met. There needs to be a continuation. You have a lot of people, a lot of very, as Mayor Dad likes to say, big shots, who now have expectations, and that's the scary part. Can we sustain it?
And what part of the experience that you've had organizing helping to organize this conference was most fulfilling for you, do you think? Or was perhaps most unique compared to other conferences that you've been a part of?
Most unique? Well, I think every conference that we do comes with its own unique challenges in that you're dealing with a different set of people. Organizing committees are often different, they're run different ways. I think what was most interesting about this conference from an organizational perspective is you have an organizing committee that's made up of two distinct different groups of people, in that you have a group of individuals who are professionals who are out there in the world working, and then you have a bunch of people who are just entering their professional lives, which is very unique to have a group of people like that working together. Generally speaking, organizing committees, even in volunteer-based organizations, usually the profession is the one commonality between the organizations that are on a committee. Whereas with the CSPC, like I said, you're dealing with two distinct groups of people at different stages of their lives, which is, I think, which is very good, which is great, because I think it brings in a different perspective than a singular type of organizing committee would have.
Okay, interesting. Moving forward for, I guess, the 2011 allegedly upcoming conference in Ottawa, do you have any comments as to the special requirements that will have in terms of organizing a national conference in such a political city?
I think that the biggest thing that the centre needs to remember, or not remember, but the biggest thing that they need to do next year in doing that is not letting the government, if you will, take over. They have a tendency to do that when they get involved in stuff. You know, maintain your autonomy, if you will. But the challenges really wouldn't be that much different than Montreal. What makes a conference in Montreal or Ottawa on a national scale different than, say, a conference specifically for Alberta or Saskatchewan or even Ontario for that matter, is the bilingual aspect. That always adds a level of intricacy that is can be very challenging in some cases, and the need for that will be as good, if not greater, in Ottawa than it was here. And with it being in Ottawa, with the added interest, now people have, as I was saying earlier, they're taking notice. There's expectations that need to be met, and in moving forward, I would say, do a lot of smiling. Thank you for your ideas. Invite them to the table, but maintain your autonomy. You're still an organization unto yourself. You're not owned by the government. You're not owned by any one organization. And that, I think, in the long run is what's going to help sustain the movement, if you will, is making sure that the center remains a center unto itself and it doesn't get swallowed by other larger organizations, which could quite easily happen.
Thank you for that advice. Thank you for your involvement in this year's conference, and we hope
Our
to
pleasure.
continue the collaboration.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.